Commander Valka stood on the bridge of her flagship, watching the blue-green world slowly rotate below them. The planet looked perfect with its white clouds swirling over green continents and blue oceans. Her scouts had found this system 3 days ago while mapping unexplored space beyond the outer territories. The world was inhabited by a species that called themselves humans. They had barely managed to put a few primitive stations around their home planet and send crewed ships to their nearest moon. "Commander, the survey teams have finished their initial scans," Lieutenant Dex reported from his station. He was young for a Nexarian officer but had proven himself during the conquest of the Maltari system 2 years earlier. "The species shows typical pre-galactic development patterns: chemical rockets, electromagnetic communications, and basic nuclear technology. They should pose no threat to our expansion plans." Valka nodded as she reviewed the data on her personal display. The Nexarian Empire had conquered 17 star systems in the past century. Each conquest had followed the same pattern: locate a suitable world, study the inhabitants, then either absorb them into the Empire or remove them if they proved troublesome. This blue world called Earth seemed like it would be another easy addition to their growing territory. "Have we established monitoring stations yet?" Valka asked her tactical officer, Captain Roth. The grizzled veteran had served in more campaigns than anyone else on the ship. His scarred face told the story of battles fought across the galaxy. "Yes, Commander. We have hidden outposts on 3 moons of the large gas giant they call Jupiter, and another on a small rocky world at the edge of their system. The humans cannot detect our technology with their primitive sensors," Roth replied while studying the tactical displays. As the bridge crew continued their work, Dex made an unusual discovery. While reviewing ancient star charts recovered from a derelict ship found decades ago in the neutral zone, he noticed something strange. The coordinates for this system matched perfectly with markings on the old charts. The annotations were written in a language that predated the Nexarian Empire by thousands of years. "Commander, you might want to see this," Dex called out with uncertainty in his voice. He transferred the ancient chart to the main display. "These coordinates match our current location exactly, but the charts are far older than our empire. The language appears to be from the lost civilization that built the hyperspace routes we still use today." Meanwhile, on the blue world below, Dr. Maya Rodriguez sat in her small office at the SETI Institute staring at computer screens filled with strange signals. For the past week, her radio telescopes had been picking up unusual transmissions from the direction of Jupiter. The patterns were too organized to be natural phenomena and too complex to be random noise. She had run every test she could think of, but the signals remained a mystery. "Tom, you need to see this," Maya called to Director Tom Blake, who was reviewing budget reports in the next room. Tom walked over and looked at the data streaming across Maya's monitors. His face grew serious as he recognized the implications. "How long have you been receiving these signals?" Tom asked while studying the patterns. 7 days now?" They started right after that strange aurora activity we detected near Jupiter. The signals seemed to be coming from multiple sources around the gas giant, Maya explained while highlighting different data streams. "Tom, this isn't natural. Someone is out there." Tom immediately picked up his secure phone and called the Pentagon. Within hours, the discovery was classified at the highest levels. Military satellites were redirected to monitor the Jupiter system, while government officials held emergency meetings to discuss humanity's first contact with alien intelligence. Back in space, Captain Roth was conducting his own investigation into Earth's communications. As part of standard protocol, the Nexarians monitored all electromagnetic transmissions from target worlds to understand their technology and culture. What Roth discovered made him question everything he thought he knew about this primitive species. The humans were discussing star maps that showed the exact locations of worlds the Nexarians had conquered over the past 50 years. Worlds that should be completely unknown to any species outside the Nexarian Empire. The maps were detailed and accurate, showing hyperspace routes, defensive positions, and even the locations of Nexarian military bases. This cannot be correct, Roth muttered to himself as he reviewed the intercepted transmissions for the third time. He had personally participated in the conquest of 6 of those worlds. The locations were classified military secrets known only to high-ranking Nixarian officers. Roth brought his findings to Commander Valka immediately. They studied the data together in the privacy of her ready room, trying to understand how a supposedly primitive species could possess such sensitive information. Could this be some kind of coincidence? Valka asked, though she knew the answer was unlikely. Commander, the probability of random chance is essentially 0. These humans know things they should not know, things that could only be learned through direct observation or access to our military databases, Roth replied grimly while they debated the implications. Chief Engineer Cade was conducting routine maintenance on their long-range sensors when he detected an energy surge from the outer edge of the system. Something large and metallic was powering up near the dwarf planet the humans called Pluto. The energy signature was unlike anything in their technology databases. Commander to the bridge immediately, Cade announced over the ship's communication system. We have an unknown contact activating near the system's edge. Valka and Roth rushed to the bridge where they found the crew staring at their displays in amazement. A massive structure had emerged from what appeared to be empty space near Pluto. The object was clearly artificial, but its design was unlike any known technology. How did our sensors miss something that large? Valka demanded. Commander, it appears to have been cloaked by technology far more advanced than ours. The structure only became visible when it began broadcasting. Dex reported while trying to analyze the readings. Then the impossible happened. The ancient beacon began transmitting a message in perfect Nexarian language. The voice was mechanical, but the words were clear and unmistakable. Attention Nexarian vessels. You have entered a protected system under the jurisdiction of the Terran Colonial Authority. Your presence has been noted and logged. The Guardians have returned to reclaim what was taken. Await further instructions or face the consequences of your intrusion. The bridge fell silent as everyone tried to process what they had just heard. The message repeated twice more before the beacon went quiet. Commander Valka felt a chill run down her spine as she realized they might not be the hunters in this situation. They might be the prey. Dex, search our historical databases for any reference to something called the Terran Colonial Authority, Valka ordered while trying to maintain her composure. Commander, I found something, Dex replied after several minutes of frantic searching. There are fragmentary references in the oldest archives. The Terrans were mentioned in connection with the original builders of the hyperspace network. According to these records, they vanished mysteriously just before our empire began its expansion. As the crew worked to understand their situation, the beacon near Pluto continued to pulse with energy. Each pulse seemed to activate other hidden systems throughout the solar system. Ancient satellites emerged from asteroid belts while dormant installations on Mars began showing signs of life. Commander Valka realized that what she thought was a simple conquest had become something far more dangerous. The primitive humans below might not be primitive at all. They might be the descendants of the most advanced civilization the galaxy had ever known. And if the beacon's message was accurate, they were not happy about what the Nexarians had been doing in their absence. Admiral Zorix arrived in the Sol system with the largest Nexarian battle fleet assembled in 50 years. His massive dreadnought emerged from hyperspace followed by 200 warships ready for combat. Zorix was known throughout the Empire for his ruthless efficiency in dealing with rebellious worlds. Commander Valka's reports about ancient human technology and defensive installations did not concern him. In his experience, overwhelming firepower solved most problems. Commander Valka, I am assuming direct command of this operation, Zorix announced as his ship took position near Earth. Your cautious approach has allowed this primitive species too much time to prepare their defenses. We will demonstrate Nexarian superiority and end this matter quickly. However, the automated defense systems that had been dormant for millennia were now fully operational. As Zorex's fleet moved into attack formation, installations throughout the solar system began powering weapons that defied everything the Nyxarians thought they knew about technology. Energy beams that could disable entire starships without damaging their crews. Force fields that could redirect kinetic weapons back at their source. Sensor networks that could predict enemy movements before they were made. On Earth, world leaders were meeting in emergency session as the reality of their situation became clear. President Lisa Chun addressed the United Nations General Assembly while military commanders coordinated with newly awakened installations on the Moon and Mars. Fellow leaders, we face a situation that challenges everything we believed about our place in the universe, President Chun announced to the assembled delegates. The evidence is now undeniable that humanity once possessed technology far beyond our current capabilities. More importantly, this technology still recognizes us as its rightful operators. Dr. Kumar had been working around the clock to establish communication with the ancient installations. What he discovered changed humanity's understanding of its own history. The technology responded not just to human genetic markers, but to specific bloodlines that carried traces of the original star-traveling humans. General Wells, the installations are showing me star charts that detail the locations of human colonies throughout the galaxy, Kumar reported while studying holographic displays that materialized around him. According to these records, humanity established settlements on over 300 worlds before something forced them to retreat to Earth. The most shocking revelation came when Kumar accessed the historical databases stored within the installations. Humanity had not just traveled to the stars, they had been the first species to achieve reliable interstellar travel. The hyperspace routes that all modern civilizations used had been built by human engineers thousands of years ago. Meanwhile, Captain Roth was experiencing increasingly vivid visions as he spent more time near the alien technology. The images were becoming so clear that he could remember specific details about the ancient human civilization. He saw vast cities built in the vacuum of space, massive ships that could carry entire populations between stars, and most importantly, he saw why humanity had gone into hiding. "Commander, the visions are becoming clearer," Roth reported to Valka during one of their private meetings. "I can see what the humans were running from. There was something in the darkness between galaxies, something that consumed advanced civilizations. The humans did not retreat because they were defeated. They hid to protect themselves and the younger species they had been guiding." Dr. Elena Vasquez had uncovered additional evidence in Earth's ancient texts that supported Captain Roth's visions. References to a great silence appeared in human myths from around the world. The stories described a time when the star people would withdraw from the galaxy to wait for a great darkness to pass. According to the Mayan codices, the star people promised to return when the shadow of the void had moved beyond the spiral of stars, Elena wrote in her latest report. The Aboriginal Australians have Dreamtime stories about the sky ancestors, who went away to keep the dream serpent from finding the sacred places. Every culture describes the same event: humanity deliberately isolating itself to protect something precious. The Nyxarian research teams, led by archaeologist Dr. Thane, were making their own disturbing discoveries on the conquered worlds. Detailed excavations of Nyxarian cities revealed that they had been built on top of much older human ruins. The architectural styles, the urban planning, even the water and power systems showed clear signs of human engineering. "Admiral, you need to see these findings immediately," Dr. Thane reported to Zorax while transmitting archaeological data. "Every major Nyxarian settlement shows evidence of prior human habitation. We have not been conquering new worlds. We have been moving into abandoned human colonies." The implications were staggering. The Nyxarian Empire had not achieved its expansion through superior technology or military prowess. They had simply moved into the empty homes left behind when humanity went into exile. The technology they used, the star charts that guided their ships, even the planets they called home had all been created by the species they now considered primitive. Admiral Zorax refused to accept these findings. His entire career had been built on the assumption of Nyxarian superiority. The idea that his people were merely caretakers of human achievements was impossible for him to acknowledge. "Prepare for full-scale bombardment of the human homeworld," Zorax ordered, despite the protests of his own officers. "We will demonstrate once and for all who controls this galaxy." But as the Nexarian fleet moved into attack position, something unprecedented happened. Every star visible from Earth began broadcasting the same message simultaneously. The transmission was so powerful that it could be detected by any species with basic radio technology. To all civilizations currently occupying Terran colonial worlds, the period of exile has ended. The Guardians of the Galaxy have returned to reclaim their responsibilities. Those who wish to remain as partners in the protection of galactic civilization will be welcomed. Those who choose aggression will face the consequences of their actions. The message was broadcast in every known language throughout the galaxy. On the 17 worlds conquered by the Nexarians, ancient human installations began activating. Archaeological sites that had been dismissed as natural formations revealed themselves to be dormant defensive systems. The Nexarians suddenly found themselves surrounded by technology that had been sleeping beneath their feet for centuries. Captain Roth experienced his most vivid vision yet as the galactic broadcast reached its peak. He saw the true history of the galaxy, including the cosmic disaster that had forced humanity into hiding. A massive entity that moved between galaxies, consuming the life force of advanced civilizations, had been approaching the Milky Way thousands of years ago. "Commander, I understand now why the humans went into exile," Roth announced to the bridge crew. "They were not running from the entity, they were preparing to fight it. The entire galaxy is a trap designed to defend against something that feeds on advanced civilizations." Dr. Kumar made the same discovery while accessing deeper levels of the installation databases. The ancient human records showed detailed plans for a galactic defense network. Every hyperspace route, every strategic resource location, every inhabitable world had been chosen and prepared as part of a massive defensive strategy. General Wells, the humans did not just build the galaxy's infrastructure for exploration, Kumar reported while studying tactical displays that showed the true scope of human planning. They built it as a fortress. Every world that supports life, every space route that connects star systems, every communication relay station is part of a defensive network designed to protect the galaxy from external threats. The revelation explained why humanity had been so willing to withdraw from their empire. They were not abandoning their achievements, but rather ensuring that younger species would be in position to help when the real threat arrived. The Nexarians, the Maltari, and dozens of other species had been unknowingly recruited as defenders of a fortress they did not even know existed. As Admiral, Zorax prepared to attack Earth despite the mounting evidence against him. Long-range sensors detected something approaching the galaxy from the void between star clusters. It was massive, ancient, and moving directly toward the Milky Way with obvious hostile intent, the cosmic entity that humanity had been preparing to fight for thousands of years was finally arriving. The test of their galactic fortress was about to begin. The ancient beacon's activation sent shock waves through the Nexarian fleet positioned around Earth's solar system. Commander Valka had called an emergency meeting with her senior officers to discuss the implications of the mysterious message. The conference room aboard her flagship buzzed with nervous energy as everyone tried to understand what they were facing. Chief Engineer Cade was the first to speak. His analysis of the beacon's technology had revealed disturbing information. "Commander, I have been studying the energy signatures from the Pluto beacon for the past 12 hours. The technology is not just advanced, it appears to be the foundation for all modern hyperspace communication systems. Every piece of equipment we use shows design elements that originated from this source." Captain Roth leaned forward in his chair, his weathered face showing concern. "That would explain how they knew the locations of our conquered worlds. If they built the original communication network, they might have been monitoring our activities for decades without us knowing." Meanwhile on Earth, governments around the world were struggling to comprehend the rapidly changing situation. The strange signals from Jupiter had multiplied overnight, And now similar transmissions were being detected from Mars, the asteroid belt, and even from Earth's own moon. President Lisa Chun had called an emergency session of the United Nations Security Council while military leaders prepared for possible first contact scenarios. General Patricia Wells stood before a room full of officials at the Pentagon, briefing them on the latest developments. Ladies and gentlemen, we are no longer dealing with simple radio signals. Our deep space monitoring stations have detected at least 47 artificial structures that appeared overnight throughout our solar system. These objects are clearly not natural, and they are all transmitting on frequencies that our most advanced equipment can barely detect. Dr. James Kumar, the physicist who had been brought in to analyze the alien technology, raised his hand. General, I have made a discovery that changes everything we thought we knew about these signals. The mathematical proofs contained in the transmissions include solutions to problems that our best scientists published just last year. Someone has been watching us very closely, and they understand our science better than we do. The room erupted in worried conversations as the implications sank in. If these aliens had been monitoring human scientific progress in real time, they knew exactly what humanity was capable of. More importantly, they had been watching without being detected until now, back in space. Lieutenant Dex was working frantically to decode more of the beacon's transmissions. Each time the Nixarians attempted to analyze the signals, new automated systems activated throughout the solar system. It was becoming clear that their presence had triggered some kind of ancient defense network. Commander, we have another problem, Dex announced while studying the latest sensor readings. Every time we try to scan one of these installations, it responds by activating additional systems. We have counted over 200 artificial structures so far, and the number keeps growing. Commander Valka studied the tactical display showing the locations of all detected installations. They formed a complex pattern around the solar system, with multiple overlapping fields of coverage. It was clearly a defensive network designed by someone who understood military strategy very well. Dr. Elena Vasquez, a historian working at the Library of Congress, was spending her days searching through ancient human texts and legends. Something about the recent discoveries reminded her of stories she had read years ago during her graduate studies. She pulled out books containing myths and legends from cultures around the world, looking for common themes. What she found made her hands shake as she typed her report. Every major culture on Earth had stories about visitors from the stars. The visitors were always described as teachers who helped humanity develop agriculture, mathematics, and astronomy. But more importantly, every story mentioned that these star people were humans who had gone to live among the stars and would someday return home. The ancient Sumerian texts call them the Anunnaki who came from the stars, Elena wrote in her report to the government task force. The Hindu Vedas speak of the Vimanas, flying vehicles used by divine beings who looked exactly like humans. Native American tribes tell stories of star people who taught them about the cosmos and promised to return when the world needed them most. Elena's research revealed something even more significant. The star people in every culture were described as the original inhabitants of Earth who had left to explore the galaxy. They were not aliens visiting a primitive world, but rather humanity's own ancestors who had achieved spaceflight thousands of years before recorded history. Meanwhile, Captain Roth was experiencing something he had never encountered before in his long military career. Every time he came near one of the activated installations, he began having vivid dreams that felt more like memories. He saw massive cities floating in space, fleets of ships bearing symbols that looked like ancient Earth designs, and humans living on worlds scattered across the galaxy. The visions always ended the same way. He saw humans sealing themselves in a blue-green sanctuary while something dark and terrible moved between the stars. They were not hiding in fear, but rather waiting for the danger to pass so they could emerge and reclaim what they had built. Commander, I need to report something unusual, Roth said during a private meeting with Valka. I have been experiencing what I can only describe as inherited memories when I am near the alien installations. I see images of humans building the very hyperspace routes our empire uses for travel. Valka listened carefully as Roth described his visions. Similar reports were coming from other crew members who had been exposed to the installation's energy fields. The images were always consistent: humans as the original builders of galactic civilization. Dr. Kumar was making his own breakthrough on Earth. Working with the signals from the installations, he had discovered that they responded to human genetic markers. When he approached one of the devices that had appeared on the moon, it activated additional functions and began displaying star charts that showed the locations of inhabitable worlds throughout the galaxy. "General Wells, you need to see this immediately," Kumar called excitedly. "The alien technology is not alien at all. It recognizes human DNA and is responding to me as an authorized user. These devices were built by humans, for humans." The revelation sent shockwaves through the human government. If the technology was human in origin, it meant that humanity had achieved interstellar travel in the distant past. More importantly, it suggested that humans had built the infrastructure that modern alien civilizations were using. Lieutenant Dex made the final connection while studying the Nexarian historical archives. The 17 star systems conquered by the Empire had all been inhabited by a species that called themselves Terrans. According to the old records, the Terrans had vanished mysteriously just as the Nexarian Empire began its expansion phase. "Commander, I have found something that explains everything," Dex announced while bringing up the historical data. "The worlds we conquered were not primitive alien colonies. They were human settlements. We have been living on human worlds, using human technology built on the foundations of human civilization." The truth was becoming undeniable. The Nexarian Empire had not discovered and conquered new worlds. They had moved into the empty homes of a human civilization that had deliberately withdrawn from the galaxy for reasons that were only now becoming clear. As this realization spread through the Nexarian fleet, the installations throughout the solar system began broadcasting a new message. This time it was not directed at the Nexarians, but at every inhabited world in the galaxy. "This is Terra Control calling all human settlements. The exile period is ending. The shadow has passed and it is time to come home. Prepare for reintegration with the colonial authority. The stars remember their children." Commander Valka realized that they had not discovered Earth first. Earth had been here all along, waiting for the right moment to reclaim what had always belonged to humanity. The galaxy was about to remember who had really built it. The galaxy erupted in chaos as the ancient human communication network reached full activation. On every world that had been conquered by the Nexarians, buried installations suddenly came to life. Archaeological sites that had been studied for decades revealed their true nature as dormant defense systems. The species living on these worlds found themselves surrounded by technology that had been waiting patiently beneath their cities for centuries. Commander Valka faced a crisis aboard her own ship as the crew began to divide into opposing factions. Captain Roth had openly declared that he would not participate in any attack against Earth. Nearly half the crew supported his position, influenced by the visions they had been experiencing near the human installations. "Valka, you must see what I have seen," Roth pleaded during a heated discussion in the ship's ready room. "The humans are not our enemies. They are the protectors of everything we claim to value. The Nexarian Empire exists only because they allowed it to exist." But Admiral Zorax remained determined to demonstrate Nexarian superiority through force. He had ordered the largest bombardment fleet in the Empire's history to take position around Earth, 200 warships armed with planet-cracking weapons, prepared to reduce the human homeworld to asteroid debris. On Earth, Dr. Kumar was working desperately to unlock the full potential of the awakening defense network. The installations were responding to his presence, but many systems remained locked behind security protocols that required multiple human operators. He needed help from people whose genetic profiles matched the original star-traveling bloodlines. "General Wells, I have identified 12 individuals around the world whose genetic markers match the ancient human colonists," Kumar reported while studying DNA analysis results. "If we can bring them here to the primary installation, we might be able to activate the planetary defense grid." President Chun authorized the immediate transportation of these individuals to the lunar installation where Kumar was working. They included a farmer from Iowa, a teacher from Japan, a doctor from Nigeria, and 9 others from different continents. When they arrived and placed their hands on the ancient control surfaces, the installations throughout the solar system synchronized into a unified defensive network. The Nixarian High Command was receiving reports from across their empire that defied explanation. On the conquered world of Maltara, ancient ruins had transformed into active military installations operated by the local population. The Maltari people, who had been subjects of the empire for 30 years, suddenly had access to weapons and defenses that made them equals to their former conquerors. Supreme Chancellor Vex, we are receiving similar reports from all 17 conquered worlds, reported Intelligence Director Nex while reviewing incoming transmissions. The archaeological sites on every planet have revealed themselves to be human military installations. The local populations are now armed with technology that surpasses our own capabilities. Chancellor Vex found himself in an impossible situation. The foundation of Nixarian power had been their technological and military superiority over other species. If every conquered world now had access to superior human technology, the Empire could not maintain control through force. Dr. Elena Vasquez had discovered the most important piece of the puzzle while studying ancient human texts in the Vatican archives. Hidden within religious manuscripts were detailed technical specifications for something called the Galactic Shield Protocol. The documents described a defensive system that could protect entire star systems from cosmic-level threats. The human installations are not just defensive positions, Elena explained to the assembled world leaders via video conference. They are components of a massive early warning and response system designed to detect and repel threats from outside our galaxy. The humans built the entire galactic civilization as a fortress. Meanwhile, Captain Roth was experiencing his most complete vision yet. He saw the moment when humanity made the decision to go into exile, the cosmic entity approaching. Their galaxy was unlike anything they had encountered before. It was not simply a destructive force, but rather an intelligence that consumed the technological achievements of advanced civilizations. The entity feeds on complexity, Roth explained to anyone who would listen. It absorbs the knowledge and technology of spacefaring species, growing stronger with each civilization it consumes. The humans realized that the only way to defeat it was to hide their true capabilities while secretly preparing younger species to help in the fight. Dr. Kumar made a breakthrough when he accessed the deepest levels of the installation databases. The ancient human records showed that the cosmic entity had been systematically destroying galactic civilizations for millions of years. Humanity had been the first species in their galaxy to recognize the threat and develop a strategy to combat it. The humans spent thousands of years seeding the galaxy with hidden installations and guiding the development of other species. Kumar reported to General Wells. Every species that achieved spaceflight was subtly directed toward strategic worlds and given access to modified human technology. The Nixarians, the Moltari, and dozens of other civilizations are all part of a grand defensive plan. The revelation explained many mysteries about galactic civilization. The hyperspace routes all led to strategically important worlds. The distribution of inhabitable planets followed patterns that optimized defensive coverage. Even the conflicts between different species had served to strengthen their military capabilities in preparation for the real war. Admiral Zarx finally gave the order to attack Earth despite the protests of many of his officers. The Nixarian fleet opened fire with enough destructive power to shatter a continent. But the ancient human defenses were ready. Energy shields that had been dormant for millennia activated around the planet, absorbing the bombardment and redirecting the energy to power additional defensive systems. Impossible, Zorix muttered as he watched his most powerful weapons fail to penetrate the human defenses. No species should possess technology this advanced. The counterattack came not from Earth but from installations throughout the galaxy. Every world that had been conquered by the Nixarians suddenly found itself defended by human technology, operated by the local populations. The Empire's military bases came under simultaneous assault from weapons they could not detect or counter. Commander Valka made her decision as she watched the futile attack on Earth continue. She ordered her ship to cease fire and withdraw from the bombardment formation. Within hours, nearly half the Nexarian fleet had followed her example, choosing to ally with the humans rather than continue a hopeless war. The cosmic entity was detected by long-range sensors as it entered the outer edge of the galaxy. It was massive beyond comprehension, easily the size of a star system, and its approach was causing disruptions in space-time itself. Every advanced civilization in the galaxy could detect its presence and the malevolent intelligence that guided its movement. All species of the Milky Way galaxy, this is Terra Command with an urgent message. The broadcast began as Earth's communication systems reached every inhabited world simultaneously. The entity known as the Star Devourer has entered our galaxy. This is the threat that humanity has been preparing to face for the past 3,000 years. We call upon all civilizations to join us in the defense of our shared home. Dr. Kumar activated the final protocols hidden within the human installations. Across the galaxy, ancient defensive systems came online in a coordinated pattern that revealed the true scope of human planning. The entire Milky Way had been transformed into a fortress designed to trap and destroy the cosmic entity. The humans did not just hide from the threat, Kumar announced to the world leaders. They turned our entire galaxy into a weapon designed to destroy it. Every star system, every hyperspace route, every strategic resource has been positioned to serve this purpose. The Star Devourer had consumed hundreds of galaxies over millions of years, but it had never encountered a civilization that had deliberately prepared for its arrival. Humanity was about to spring a trap that had been 3,000 years in the making. Supreme Chancellor Vex faced the collapse of everything he had believed about Nexarian superiority. His empire had been built on human foundations, defended by human technology, and guided by human strategy. The choice now was to continue fighting the obvious truth or to join the species that had been protecting the galaxy all along. As the cosmic entity moved deeper into the galaxy, consuming the outer star systems and growing stronger with each meal, the ancient human defense network prepared to activate its ultimate weapon. The test of humanity's grand strategy was about to begin. The Star Devourer moved through the outer spiral arms of the galaxy like a cosmic hurricane, consuming entire star systems and growing larger with each meal. The entity had destroyed countless civilizations across millions of years, but this galaxy felt different. The distribution of inhabitable worlds, the pattern of hyperspace routes, and the positioning of strategic resources all suggested deliberate planning rather than natural evolution. Admiral Rebecca Stone stood on the bridge of humanity's flagship as Earth's hidden fleet emerged from the radiation shadow of Jupiter. The ships had been constructed in secret over the past 3,000 years, using technology that surpassed anything the galaxy had seen. Each vessel was designed specifically to fight the cosmic entity that was now approaching the inner systems. All human vessels. This is Admiral Stone assuming command of Galactic Defense Operations. She announced over the communication network that connected every world in the galaxy. The moment we have prepared for across 3 millennia has arrived. Every species, every world, every installation is now part of the same mission, the destruction of the Star Devourer. Commander Valka had made her choice to ally with humanity, bringing crucial intelligence about Nexarian military capabilities and the locations of their strategic installations. Her defection had triggered a cascade of similar decisions throughout the Nexarian fleet. Nearly 60% of their forces had joined the human alliance, while the remainder followed Admiral Zorix in continued resistance. Commander Valka, we welcome your assistance in the coming battle, Admiral Stone said during a joint strategy meeting aboard the human flagship. Your knowledge of Nexarian defensive positions will be essential for coordinating our galaxy-wide response to the entity. Captain Roth served as the primary liaison between human and Nexarian forces, using his visions of ancient human civilization to help bridge the gap between former enemies. The images he had experienced were now shared through the human communication network, allowing other species to understand the true history of their galaxy. The humans never abandoned us, Roth explained to a gathering of Nixarian officers who were struggling to accept their new reality. They have been guiding and protecting us from the shadows for thousands of years. Every advancement we thought we had achieved independently was actually part of their plan to prepare us for this moment. Dr. Kumar worked frantically to unlock the final protocols of the Human Galactic Defense Network. The installations throughout the galaxy were responding to commands from Earth, but the most powerful systems required authorization from multiple bloodlines descended from the original human colonists. Representatives from dozens of worlds were converging on Earth to provide the genetic keys needed to activate humanity's ultimate weapon. General Wells, the network is showing me the true scope of human preparation, Kumar reported, while studying holographic displays that filled the entire lunar installation. They have not just built defensive systems. They have turned the entire galaxy into a massive energy weapon capable of channeling the power of every star simultaneously. The revelation of humanity's galactic engineering sent shockwaves through every civilization. The hyperspace routes that connected star systems were not just transportation networks, but components of a vast energy distribution system. The inhabitable worlds had been positioned to serve as focusing points for stellar energy. Even the black holes at the galaxy's center had been modified to serve as power regulators for the coming battle. Supreme Chancellor Vex found himself facing a complete collapse of Nixarian authority as the truth about human civilization spread throughout his empire. The species he had considered primitive subjects were revealing themselves to be the descendants of the galaxy's original architects. His choice was simple: join humanity's defense or watch his empire crumble as every conquered world achieved independence through access to superior human technology. I have spent my entire life believing in Nixarian superiority, Vex admitted. During a private communication with Admiral Stone, the evidence now shows that we have been children playing with toys left behind by adults. If you will accept our assistance, the Nixarian Empire formally requests to join the Galactic Defense Alliance. The Star Devourer had consumed 12 star systems in the outer spiral arms and was accelerating toward the galaxy's center where the greatest concentration of inhabitable worlds waited. The entity had encountered some resistance from the installations on consumed worlds, but nothing that seriously threatened its advance. It had no way of knowing that each destroyed installation was providing targeting data to the Central Defense Network. Dr. Elena Vasquez made the final connection while studying ancient human texts in the underground archives beneath the Vatican. The manuscripts described not just the Star Devourer but the entire cycle of cosmic predation that had been destroying galaxies for billions of years. Humanity had not just planned to defeat this single entity but to break the cycle permanently. The humans discovered that the Star Devourer is not unique, Elena explained to the world leaders during an emergency briefing. There are dozens of these entities moving through the universe, consuming galaxy after galaxy in a pattern that has continued for cosmic ages. The defense network is designed not just to destroy this entity, but to send a message to the others. That this galaxy is protected? Admiral Stone received reports from human installations throughout the galaxy as the final components of the defense network came online. Ancient facilities that had been disguised as natural phenomena revealed their true nature. Stellar engineering projects that had been hidden for millennia began channeling the power of entire star systems into a unified energy matrix. All species of the galaxy, this is Terra Command with final battle instructions, Admiral Stone announced, as the Star Devourer approached the middle spiral arms. In 30 minutes, the Galactic Defense Network will activate. Every world, every ship, every installation must be in position to channel stellar energy through the hyperspace matrix. This is the moment that 3,000 years of preparation has been leading toward. The Nixarians who had chosen to remain loyal to Admiral Zorax found themselves isolated as their own technology began failing. The human components in their systems were responding to commands from the Galactic Defense Network, shutting down weapons and engines that refused to participate in the coordinated defense. Zorix watched helplessly as his remaining ships lost power and drifted helplessly in space. Captain Roth experienced his final vision as the network reached full activation. He saw the ancient human council that had made the decision to go into exile, sacrificing their visible empire to create something far more powerful. They had understood that defeating cosmic predators required patience, planning, and the cooperation of every intelligent species in the galaxy. The humans did not just save themselves, Roth announced to everyone within range of the communication network. They saved all of us. Every species that has achieved spaceflight, every world that supports intelligent life, every advancement in science and technology has been guided toward this single moment of unified defense. The Star Devourer reached the middle spiral arms. Just as the Galactic Defense Network achieved full synchronization, for the first time in its cosmic existence, the entity encountered resistance that it could not simply absorb and overcome. The energy being channeled through the hyperspace matrix was not technological, but rather the fundamental forces that powered stellar formation and galactic rotation. Dr. Kumar monitored the network activation from the primary control center on Earth as representatives from over 300 worlds provided the final authorization codes. The genetic descendants of humanity's ancient colonists had returned to operate the systems their ancestors had built, creating a moment of unity that spanned the entire galaxy. Network activation is complete, Kumar announced as the displays around him showed energy patterns encompassing billions of star systems. The Star Devourer has entered the trap, beginning final sequence activation in 10 seconds. The ancient human weapon fired not bullets or energy beams, but rather the coordinated gravitational force of every star in the galaxy. The hyperspace matrix that had taken millennia to construct channeled stellar masses into a focused gravitational wave that struck the Star Devourer with the combined power of 200 billion suns. The cosmic entity, which had consumed hundreds of galaxies over millions of years, found itself caught in a gravitational prison from which even its vast intelligence could not escape. The trap began compressing the entity's mass while simultaneously broadcasting its defeat to similar predators throughout the universe. Admiral Stone watched from Earth as the Star Devourer was systematically dismantled by forces it could not resist or absorb. The entity's destruction sent a message across cosmic distances that this galaxy was no longer defenseless prey. Humanity had emerged from exile not as conquerors, but as the teachers and protectors they had always been meant to be. To all civilizations throughout the universe, this is Terra Command broadcasting from the Milky Way galaxy. Admiral Stone announced as the ancient human communication network reached beyond the galactic boundaries. The cycle of cosmic predation ends here. This galaxy stands ready to assist any species facing similar threats. The Guardians have returned and the stars themselves remember their duty. Commander Valka looked out at the stars from her ship's observation deck, understanding for the first time that she was seeing not empty space but the greatest fortress ever constructed. Every point of light represented a world that had been carefully positioned and prepared as part of humanity's grand strategy. The galaxy had remembered its guardians, and the universe would never be the same.